Hi, my name is Hannah Fair, and this is my persuasive speech.
1, 2. You get to do yourself. Or we do have enough. No.
Pope John Paul II said, "There is no dignity when the human dimension is eliminated from the person." In short, the problem with pornography is not that it shows too much of the person, but that it shows far too little. End quote. The exploitive nature of pornography has detrimental effects on those working in the industry and the consumers of it. Everyone should be aware of the harmful effects of pornography and encourage others to not partake of it because of how it hurts people personally and our entire society. For multiple years, I have been researching about the harmful effects of pornography. Pornography is an addictive, unhealthy, dehumanizing media which destroys brain pathways, intimate relationships, and societal attitudes towards women. My preview of my main points are as follows. Pornography is a societal problem because it is not just a private activity. It affects the way people view intimate relationships and women. It hurts people personally, emotionally, and rewires their brains. It destroys intimate relationships. It dehumanizes people, especially women, and it is one of the leading contributors to human trafficking. However, pornography will be funded only if it has viewers and supporters. When we speak up about this issue and inform others of the devastating effects it causes, we can enact real change. If we stop funding pornography, then it will no longer have a market to produce to. If we support legislation to censor pornography, then it will become more difficult to obtain and become sparse. However, if we continue funding pornography as a society, then it will continue to become more obscene, abusive, and dehumanizing, and as this trend continues, people will lose their humanity. Also, all of the images on my PowerPoint are courtesy of fightthenewdrug.org. I will now present to you just a few of the plethora of reasons why pornography is detrimental to people personally and the world globally. The word pornography originates from the Greek words pornai, meaning prostitute, and graphene, meaning to write. It originally meant to write or illustrate prostitutes. There is no question as to how pervasive porn is. For every 400 Hollywood movies made, there are over 11,000 pornography films produced. There is some debate over what constitutes as pornography, so for the purposes of this speech, pornography is any sexually explicit material meant to cause sexual arousal. First, pornography hurts people personally, emotionally, and rewires their brains. Norman Doge of Columbia University's Center for Psychoanalytic Training said, begin quote, "Pornography, by offering an endless harem of sexual objects, hyperactivates the appetitive system. Porn viewers develop new maps in their brains based on the photos and videos they see. Because it is a use-it-or-lose-it brain, when we develop a map area, we long to keep it activated. Just as our muscles become impatient for exercise if we've been sitting all day, so too do our senses hunger to be stimulated." End quote. Researchers have found that internet porn and addictive substances like tobacco have very similar effects on the brain, and they are significantly different from how the brain reacts to healthy, natural pleasures such as food or sex. When you're eating food or enjoying a romantic encounter, eventually your cravings will drop off and you'll feel satisfied. Why? Because your brain has a built-in off switch for natural pleasures. Nora Valkow, director of the National Institute of Drug Abuse, explains it like this, begin quote, "Dopamine cells stop firing after repeated consumption of a natural reward, like food or sex," end quote. But addictive drugs go right on increasing dopamine levels without giving the brain a break. The more hits drug users take, the more dopamine floods their brain, and the stronger their urges are to keep using the same, and the same is true of porn consumption. Thankfully, our brains are amazingly created, and their plasticity can be reverted, and once pornography is no longer watched, the brain will heal itself. Next, pornography intake destroys intimate relationships. Two of the most respected pornography researchers, Jennings Bryan and Dolph Zillman at the University of Alabama, studied the effects of porn and media for over 30 years. They discovered that consuming pornography makes many individuals less satisfied with, begin quote, their own partners, physical appearance, sexual performance, sexual curiosity, and affection. They also found that over time, many porn users grow more callous towards females in general, less likely to value monogamy and marriage, and more likely to develop distorted perceptions of sexuality, end quote. Other researchers have confirmed those results and added that porn consumers tend to be significantly less intimate with their partners, less committed in their relationships, less satisfied with their romantic and sex lives, and more likely to cheat with their partners. When one or both of the partners views porn, rates of intimacy plummet. Thirdly, it dehumanizes people, especially women. Women are also generally portrayed as anxious for sex anywhere at any time with anyone, and they are delighted to go as long and aggressively as one man or multiple men want in pornography. They never seem to need anything at all except endless sex. They are depicted as happy with whatever a man wants to do, even if it's dangerous, painful, or humiliating. In a recent survey of 16 to 18-year-old Americans, nearly every participant reported learning how to have sex by watching porn. And many of the young women said they were pressured to play out the scripts their male partners learned from porn. Pornography is also one of the leading contributors to human trafficking. Nearly half of sex trafficking victims report that pornography was made of them while they were in bondage. It's still impossible to distinguish between actual or portrayed rape because rape and abuse-themed porn have now become mainstream. One female survivor, whose captors slept on her on top at night so she wouldn't escape, watched her through a hole when she went to the bathroom and listened to her phone calls with a gun pointed at her head. She was forced to appear in a video that made the Sinclair Intimacy Institute's list of sex-positive productions. She said that, begin quote, "Every time someone watches that film, they are watching me being raped," end quote. In the year 2000, the Trafficking Victims Protection Act, or TVPA, was passed. This landmark legislation defines sex trafficking as a situation in which, quote, "a commercial sex act is induced by force, fraud, or coercion, or in which the person induced to perform such an act has not attained 18 years of age," end quote. TVPA casts new light on pimping and exploitation that might otherwise fly under the radar. When a porn performer shows up on set to discover that the scene is much more degrading than what they've been told, and their agent gets them to go through with it by threatening to cancel their other bookings, that is now legally recognized as human trafficking. Now that you know about the devastating effects of pornography, I will discuss the ways that you and I can make a difference. Fortunately, there is something we can do about the tragedies of the pornography industry. We can encourage others to not watch it by starting conversations about its devastating effects. We can support organizations such as Fight the New Drug, which raises global awareness to the issues surrounding pornography, and enact changes to our legal system. All of these ideas will improve lives if we enact them, which takes me to my final point. We can visualize the benefits of defunding the pornography industry. Our society would have healthier brains with normal neural pathways and less sex addictions. Marriages and committed relationships would be more successful without partners having to compete with pornography. And our society would regain more of its humanity because we could respect and empower each other without viewing each other as sex objects. However, we can also visualize the devastating effects if we do not stop pornography. Our society will have ill minds with unrealistic expectations. Marriages and relationships may lack intimacy as depression and anxiety rates increase. Our society will have little respect for the sanctity of sex, nor will it value people for their inherent worth. I hope my remarks today have made you more aware about the hidden problems embedded and inherent to the nature and production and consumption of pornography. In conclusion, you can help stop the production and exploitation of people by defunding pornography, by not watching it and encouraging others to not watch it. To sum up my points, first, I discussed how porn hurts people personally, emotionally, and rewires their brains. Next, I proved how porn destroys intimate relationships. Thirdly, I explained that porn dehumanizes people, especially women. Lastly, pornography is one of the leading contributors to human trafficking. Pornography is an addictive, unhealthy, dehumanizing media which destroys brain pathways, intimate relationships, and societal attitudes towards women. I urge you to support organizations such as Fight the New Drug and be an advocate for those who have been ensnared by the lies of pornography. And remember, be pro-love. That is what we are all fighting for. Advocate for real, authentic human relationships. Thank you.